Well, that's a traditional scene, as people think is in Mongolia, Mongolian music. Now, we're with Jilly, who spends a lot of time in Mongolia. We've met her before. Is that typical Mongolian, Jilly?
Oh, it's typical in the countryside if you know the right places to go to, but that's actually a very, very small theatre in Ulaanbaatar. It's not the usual place where tourists take their, tour companies take their tourists, and not many people know where to find it. I do. And whenever I get visitors, I take them there. On
that machine you've got there, you've got some very, you've got a picture of what looks like the Somerset countryside. I don't know if you can find that for me. See if you can find that for me.
I will. Right, so that's not Somerset, is it?
Well, you're playing, well, you might say that's the Somerset Levels, which floods every year.
With mountains in the background.
Well, that could be the Mendips. But the point is, it's covered in grass, whatever it is. It's flat. I can imagine seeing that with 10 foot of snow on it. I can imagine that. But that other bit of countryside you've got there was a little woodland.
Right, okay.
And they're sitting around a campfire.
Alright, wait a minute, it's coming up. Alright, that's where I camped this morning. So that all those bushes have got fruit. Their little berries are called jimps.
I mean, it's very lush countryside. That's typical Somerset. It's a summer day in Somersetshire. But what happens to that countryside in the winter when you got
totally, utterly frozen.
Right.
Minus 45. I've walked on that river.
Right.
I've been I've been
a river
fishing.
there, full of fish.
Full of fish. Yeah.
So this is what I don't understand these countries. I don't travel very much, but great poverty in a place like this.
Yeah.
Why? Why is there great poverty there?
Well, for kick-off, there's not many people there. The Russians owned Mongolia. It was part of the Soviet Union,
right.
but still, Mongolia was allowed to have its own government. Right. So Mongolia was running its own government independently of the Russians being there. The Russians
How long ago? How long did that change?
1990. The Russians were there, I'm quite sure, for the reason everybody else wants to get hold of Mongolia, for the resources.
Right.
Horse meat was being sold off to the Russian army in tons and tons. Sheep were producing wool that went to Afghanistan to make, which was part of Russia, to make carpets. So all the resources were used. The sad thing was when the Russians pulled out, Mongolia was a bit sort of left not knowing what to do, because the Russians had always had the head positions. The herders produced the stuff, gave it to the Russians who dealt with it. So
it sounds like the sort of countries where lots of countries want resources. They want anything that's underground. They want it.
Yep.
So they must be queuing up like mad to get in and now, mustn't they?
Well, yes and no. I mean, China, as we spoke about before, will gobble up every resource possible. So vast amounts of coal are going off to China. And I believe if you look on Google World or something, you can see little trucks sort of heading from China to the border, being loaded up and chuffed off back into China again. But the thing is that the Mongolians are now, because of the contracts they've made with the Chinese, they're digging up the coal for virtually no money, but still they have to produce it.
And the Mongolians are doing the digging, or the Chinese?
Mongolians are doing the digging. There's been a lot of Chinese people come over to build infrastructures, and they're not well liked.
No. But generally the Chinese are very keen on building huge railways across territory so they can ship stuff from one side to the other and find a port which isn't frozen up for half the year and all that sort of thing. Yes. They're very keen on doing that. Are they doing that in Mongolia?
You should ask Putin. No, I'm sorry. They are building a railway. I'm not too sure who's involved with it. It's partly Chinese. I've got a funny feeling it's got Japanese money involved as well.
Right, but because Jersey is a desperately small little place on the world map, but it is desperately keen to invest, put money the way of where there's development. Jersey wants to be involved.
Government's not safe in Mongolia. It's too iffy. It's not very
They've been very keen to invest in some very iffy places, and
You need to look at MAD investments.
I shall link to the site. It's on your little machine there again. You tell us what you've been doing, because you've been plodding away out there for 10 years, doing wonderful things.
All right. Well, most importantly, with Jersey Overseas Aid money, they've built 2 fabulous schools, a nursery and a kindergarten. So this is a 3rd school in the same, we call them Hasha, which means the area. So this is French money.
Right.
There is a great lack of kindergartens. 74,000 children haven't got anywhere to go. So we are building a new kindergarten. That's a Jersey Overseas Aid.
That's the Jersey Overseas Aid School, and alongside it's a fairly substantial structure.
Yeah, they're all...
that's the French group.
French group, yeah, there were 60 French who came over and...
Now when they come, just tell us, do they get local people involved in the building?
Oh,
is that
absolutely.
what they do? That's what they do?
Yeah, we just get volunteers to come over. I'm just about to show you some of the schools that Jersey have done. It's all local labour.
Right.
Local
And does that create, they're allowed to employ them, they stamp their card, insurance, all those sort of irritating bureaucratic things that people have to do?
The foreigners come over are volunteers.
Yeah, they're volunteers, but they can get the local people involved in employment, they can do all that, that's all?
Yes, they're just Mongolian people working.
Right, okay, yeah.
But the schools, just so you can see what a fantastic thing Jersey has done, I mean, this is a little celebration recently. So thank you, Jersey.
When was that? How recently was it?
Oh, look, here's the little plastic bag, girls. This was in June.
Now these are what? These are kids of about, what, 6?
No, they're little ones. Through Jersey Overseas Aid, they have built a nursery and a kindergarten.
So you've seen these children from birth up to that age?
Virtually.
Whilst you've been there?
Yes.
And there will be older ones you've seen...
Once they finish nursery, they go to the kindergarten automatically, and then once they've gone to the kindergarten, they then go to government schools, of which there are enough at the moment. There's a typical scene. That's the kids eating. It's sort of run on a Montessori Mongolia system.
And it's extraordinarily neat and tidy, a very high quality school that's been created there.
It certainly is, yeah. Run by the Catholic Church, but you've got to remember that, very importantly, Mongolia is a Buddhist country, so none of the Catholic social service department missionaries are allowed to mention God or Christianity to children. So even though the Catholic Church pay for the teacher, well, they own the schools, but there's no religion involved.
I'm trying to get a picture about what happened now. These children are getting a better education they would otherwise have got.
Getting a better start.
Right. What happens to them then? Once they get up to age 10, 11, 12, go on to what we would call senior school?
They go to senior school.
And those exist, or you're building those?
No. They exist. Yeah.
They exist.
What happened? And I said this on the radio at Jersey yesterday. A few years ago, the Mongolian government, in its wisdom, decided that they wanted to try to populate Mongolia more. So women were offered an amount of money to have children. Now that was great for the women who had the children and the families, but the infrastructure hasn't caught up, and there's still so much corruption going on. There was an incident in the news recently when I was over there. People were up in arms because in an area where there is no kindergarten, there was a piece of land allocated to build it, and some politician's best friend's uncle or whoever took the land, and they're going to build a petrol station there.
Right.